Benvenuti d'Italia.
Buonasera a tutti. Good afternoon from Rome. We got here earlier today, and now we are walking to do one of our tours, as per usual. But this time it's going to be like a late afternoon evening tour, which might be a good thing because I'll look better as golden hour. So we're walking over to Trastevere right now. We found a really cool tour. It's like a Gothic medieval style area of Rome, so it's a little bit different than the main attractions. Maybe we'll do that. We've done it before. It's really hot. There's a lot of people. So stay tuned. We're going to hit up Trastevere. Be there in a few minutes. Kelly's informed me that I'm saying the neighborhood incorrectly, so I'm going to go ahead and fix it now. It's Trastevere. We'll be there soon. We made it to Trastevere and started our tour in the square back there, but there's somebody doing a vocal performance, which is actually quite outstanding. And so it might give me a strike on YouTube for music. It was that good. So we've come down the side street and started the tour, learned quite a bit about Trastevere and how it's across the Tiber. That's what Trastevere means. They told us about how this area started off kind of low rent, and now it's one of the most popular places in all of town. There's a couple universities here, which makes it very popular. Ton of restaurants, ton of bars, different things to see and do. I think we'll make a few stops and maybe a few of them.
Yeah, and at one point this was the place that no one wanted to live, but nowadays grandparents are actually passing these houses on to their grandchildren, and they love them. They're really grateful for them.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. The streets are not orchestrated. We were just in Barcelona a couple of days ago where everything is like a grid parent in Jamble. Everything is everywhere. That's why I love Italy. So let's go on with the tour. This behind us was one of the original Aurelian walls of the city, and it has a gate here that provided the most direct access from Trastevere to the Vatican. Apparently it's even used now. When Pope Francis was elected, all of the residents of Trastevere dipped out and sprinting down this road to St. Peter's.
And as you can see, it's a very busy traffic thoroughfare nowadays.
Still is. Moving on. Well, we stopped almost just a block from the gate now in a little square where there's a church behind us where the altarpiece was originally made by Caravaggio. Is that how I'm saying it right?
Caravaggio.
She's got the Italian down. But it was actually taken away from the altarpiece here because it was too scandalous, and now it sits in the Louvre.
Big, really unfortunate moment. It sits in the Louvre.
Yeah, and so if we spin just a little bit, actually, there's a pharmacy behind me, which is one of the oldest pharmacies and original ones of the entire Roman city. It's been here for hundreds of years and just closed its operations as a pharmacy in the 50s.
And at one point it was the papal pharmacy.
Yeah. I think we're moving on. There's also a lot of graffiti around because of the Retake Rome movement. Apparently there's a movement because this has been such a desirable area, the house prices have gone up so much, that there's a movement now that there's various pieces of artwork that are shared across the city as part of the Retake Rome to make it cheaper. Not sure if it's working because the vibe here is awesome. We're here, it's like, 7 o'clock. Some people are starting to sit down for an aperitivo. The sun is setting, it's getting cool. It's just really nice vibe, so I'm loving it so far. One more block further from where we just were, this is apparently the epicenter of all of the Trastevere nightlife.
Unofficially.
Unofficially. There's a bunch of restaurants actually looks really neat. There's like one brewery, there's a bunch of people having Aperol Spritz at another. It is really nice. There's like lights out. Maybe we'll walk through here a little bit later and see the vibe, but it is actually really nice. And again, it's all like really old architecture, cobblestone streets. There's not too many cars that come through. We're now standing in one of the main squares of Trastevere, and behind us is one of the oldest churches in Rome, actually. Apparently on the night of Christ's birth, there was holy oil that came up out of the earth here and flowed for like 24 hours, and flowed so significantly that it then flowed into the Tiber, which is probably a little ways from where we are right now. But the church has been through a couple different renovations. I think the first building was like 3rd century AD, and the current structure now is very medieval. We stopped quickly at this fountain behind us, and apparently in the 1920s?
Yeah, so.
1920s, there was an artist that was commissioned to make 9 different sculptures and put them around each of the neighborhoods of Rome. And so the one behind us is the one for Trastevere, which is a homage to all of the different restaurants and wine shops and culture here, centered around having a good time.
And it's a fountain.
It's unfortunate we actually did start the tour a little late, because right behind us apparently is one of the most famous cheese and salami shops in all of Rome. And apparently you can smell it way before you even get here. So unfortunately we can't walk in and try it because that is right up my alley. But instead I think we're going to continue the tour. It's getting a little late and there's more and more people out at aperitivo. We might just have to join them. Well, we were just walking along, and apparently the Italian Ministry of Finance keeps a small car collection, casually including one of Niki Lauda's championship-winning Ferraris.
Just winning the way to Kyle's heart even more.
Yes, of course. Anytime that you involve Ferraris in a walking tour, I'm all about it. But really cool. You can actually walk right in. There's nobody guarding it, and you can take pictures, look at it. It's pretty nice.
To clarify, Ferraris and Formula One cars.
Yes. As we meander our way through this very quiet part of town, we came across the Church of San Cecilia. Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, San Cecilia. And there's a long backstory to San Cecilia and why this church was built for. I recommend you actually take this tour and listen to it. But the two things that I want to call out is, one, this courtyard is amazingly quiet. I mean, we're very close to downtown Rome, and it is just quiet. The church is absolutely stunningly beautiful. You can hear the birds, the flowers. It's just really nice here. being the city which is probably most well known for the Vatican and Christianity, there's actually a ton of Jewish history here in Rome, and I think a lot of people think it's on the other side of the Tiber where the old Jewish neighborhoods were, but we just found out that behind us is actually the oldest synagogue in Rome. Not much left of it here, but interesting that it actually started within Trastevere and not on the other side of the river. Continuing to wander, we found one of the oldest towers in Rome, and so apparently they used to build towers whenever you built a mansion if you were very wealthy to show how much money you had. The person with the highest tower was essentially the richest person. So they used to do that, similar to San Gimignano. Gimignano. I promise I have not been partaking in the aperitivo just yet. But pretty neat to see that some of those remnants still exist, and it's not something that you'd really know was here or know the history behind it unless you have the tour. I think we're coming to our final stop, so this has been really interesting. Maybe not quite as much on the history as we're usually doing, but I think just a really good way to navigate around the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a really good tour if you've been to Rome before. Like if
Yes.
you've seen all the other tourist things, this was really nice to get a sense of a different neighborhood that wasn't a huge tourist spot.
Yeah, and it's also really beautiful back here. Every corner I keep taking pictures. The tour is concluded. Wasn't too much more interesting other than the fact that the tower that I'm walking by right here on my right shoulder is one of the oldest that is still standing in all of Rome. But it was a really nice way to just see the neighborhood. Like we said, really great for just wandering and getting your lay of the land with a little history sprinkled in. So if you're out historied in Rome, that's the way to go. But I think we're gonna call it a wrap here because we're gonna go find something to drink for an aperitivo. And then we're gonna hit some dinner. So for that, we're calling it a good night for day one in Rome.